Hello everyone, my name is Skeleton, and over a year ago, I uploaded my first video on the channel, Batman Arkham Knight Part 1. After that, I uploaded an additional 36 videos, finishing with a total of 37 videos at the end of 2022, which doesn't sound like much of an accomplishment, but for me it is. This is because I have started YouTube channels multiple times in the past, and all of those times I reached a point where I felt like I didn't do things perfectly enough or that I could do them better, so I would delete my YouTube channels completely and restart. Obviously, this made it pretty hard to do YouTube. One of the biggest struggles for me was finding a spot that I was comfortable with. On one of my channels, which I had hundreds of videos on, I chose not to do commentary whatsoever. And after hundreds of uploads, I decided that I wanted to start doing commentary. But because I had so many videos without any type of commentary, I felt like I couldn't just start doing it out of nowhere after hundreds of videos. So that's what led me to delete the account and all of the videos with it. After that, I started an account where I did do commentary. On this channel, I also had a lot of uploads. The problem that I ran into was that I felt like I was forcing my commentary too much. In my videos, I was practically afraid of silence, so I was always talking even if I wasn't really talking about anything at all, and I felt like I failed to keep up with the presentation that I was going for. The fact that I was trying to keep up something that I didn't really feel was a problem in itself. But what I had the biggest issue with was how ugly and unlikable my content made me feel. And I feel like the reason that I was struggling was that I wasn't comfortable on the channel. I didn't know how real I wanted to be, and that didn't translate well into my videos. This isn't the first time that I've talked about this stuff on the channel, and it won't be the last either. The reason that I'm sharing this is to help you understand why it's an accomplishment for me to have been doing a YouTube channel for an entire year, even if that year only included 37 uploads and 2 subscribers. This is the most comfortable I've felt on a YouTube channel so far, and it's an accomplishment to have continued a hobby this long instead of stopping soon after I started. Even though I only uploaded 37 videos, that isn't all that I did within the year. Something that I like to talk about on the channel is achievement hunting video games. And that's exactly what I was doing off camera in 2022. After I finished Batman Arkham Knight, I moved on to Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. Even though I wasn't done uploading Batman Arkham Knight, I still wanted to move on to other games. Doki Doki Literature Club Plus was a really fun achievement hunt. It only took me a couple of days, and then I moved on to the next game, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Unlike Batman Arkham Knight and Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, this was a game that I had already achievement hunted in the past. I actually enjoyed achievement hunting it for the second time even more than the first. The next game I moved on to was Dishonored Definitive Edition. This was a game that looked scary to achievement hunt, but I wanted the challenge. As it turns out, none of the achievements in the main story felt very difficult at all. The main story itself had its fair share of challenging moments, but I didn't find the achievements to be difficult. I also had a really good time playing the main story, way more than I thought I would. On top of this, the DLC story expansions where you play as Dowd were really fun as well. Overall, I was incredibly impressed by the main storylines. Aside from the 2 story expansions, there's a third expansion called the Dunwall City Trials. This expansion was by far the most difficult part of achievement hunting this game. The DLC contains a series of different challenges. The trials themselves are hard enough, but there are also achievements for completing them in specific ways. Those unique achievements are what really brings out the difficulty in the trials. After Dishonored, I completed a game called Gone Home. Gone Home is a game where the main character returns home after studying for a year in Europe. Then, you explore your home in order to find out what your family has been doing for the past year. It's a good game with great voice acting and a great soundtrack. It's also a game that I've achievement hunted in the past. It took me less than an hour to 100% this game on my second time around. After Gone Home, I was still thirsty for more Dishonored content, so I decided to begin Dishonored 2. I started up the main story as Emily Caldwin, but I never actually finished it. This was because Elden Ring came out, which I was really excited for, so I dropped Dishonored 2 completely. At first, I was having a great time playing Elden Ring. I ended up putting around 122 hours into the game, and during that time, the more I played, the more I began to realize that I didn't really like Elden Ring. So around 122 hours, I stopped playing the game completely. I returned to the game a few times to try and get into it, but I never really could. So along with my interest in playing Elden Ring, my desire to achievement hunt games died completely. It would be 3 months before I achievement hunted my next game, that game being Townscaper, a little sandbox game that I completed in around 10 minutes, making it the fastest achievement hunt I've ever done. 2 months later, I would start Stubbs the Zombie in Rebel Without a Pulse. This was a game that I had played on the original Xbox years ago. Stubbs the Zombie in Rebel Without a Pulse is a humorous game where you play as a zombie and start the zombie apocalypse while pursuing the gal of your dreams. I started this game in August and completed it in December. Stubbs the Zombie in Rebel Without a Pulse was not the only game that I started achievement hunting in August. A little after I began Stubbs, I started 1993 Doom, a game that I would not finish achievement hunting by the end of 2022. Another game that I would start in August and not finish by the end of 2022 is Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered. The story mode for Assassin's Creed 3 was actually really strong and a lot of fun. The weakest and least fun part of the game comes after the main story. After the main story, all that's left is a bunch of grindy and tedious content. There are a few quests here and there that are actually kind of fun and interesting, but for the most part, everything left is pretty boring. On top of this, they actually have another game featured in AC3 Remastered, which is supposed to be a tie-in to AC3 called Assassin's Creed Liberation. I played a little bit of the main story for Liberation, but at that point I was pretty bored of Assassin's Creed and I stopped playing altogether. At the end of August and the beginning of September, I started achievement hunting JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R, a game that I was very excited for and I wasn't disappointed by. I'd been wanting a JoJo fighting game for a really long time, so I was really excited to play this game. Not only does the game feel like it has a ton of love put into it by the developers, but it looks really good and feels really good to play. Overall being a great JoJo fighting game. There is a bit of grind to it when you're doing the main story missions, and there are some unique achievements that you're gonna have to go out of your way to get, but if you really enjoy playing the game like I did, it shouldn't be too bad, especially if you get a buddy that's willing to help you do some of those stray achievements. I finished achievement hunting this game in December. Overall, I started achievement hunting 12 games in 2022, 8 of which I 100% completed. I came nowhere close to finishing my uploads for Batman Arkham Knight, and there were a few series that I wanted to begin but didn't. One of those series being my completed offline videos. Videos where I talk about games that I achievement hunted and did not do a series on the channel. Another series that I wanted to begin was my Dead by Daylight series. I tried to start this series several times, but I could never figure out how I wanted to do my first upload. Something unique about Dead by Daylight is that I don't play it on my main account. This is because I don't want to achievement hunt Dead by Daylight. Every game that I start on my main account, I plan on 100% completing. Since I don't want to achievement hunt Dead by Daylight, but I still want to upload it, I created an alternate account where I play and possibly upload videos about games that I don't want to achievement hunt. During the entire time that I was achievement hunting these video games, I was also playing Dead by Daylight off screen. Another game that I play off camera is Fortnite Battle Royale. Both of these are games that I want to make videos about, but don't want to achievement hunt on the channel. There are a couple of other series that I have on my mind, but I won't be doing for a while, and that pretty much covers everything that has to do with me playing video games in 2022. Now I'm going to talk about how the year was for Skellington. I started off the year working the same job that I had been working for a while. I was a DoorDash driver, which has some benefits like being able to choose your own hours, but unfortunately, one of the struggles of the job was a lack of consistency. Another problem was when you're like me and you barely ever leave your room, having the self-discipline to go out and make money is really difficult. So what would happen was I wouldn't work all month, and then in the last week I would have this huge stress bomb because I would need to make the money for my bills. Unfortunately, being an adult is expensive, so I had to find a way to solve that problem pretty quickly. Something that I was really afraid of was America's 9-to-5 hell, working a job that you hate to support a life that you don't want to live. And And unfortunately for me, like many others out there, I had to do it anyway. So I ended up having to pick up a warehouse job where I worked 12-hour shifts for about 4 months. I worked 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and it was the hardest job I've ever done. Even though the year was pretty miserable, I made it through it, and that's what counts, right?